Thank you so much, and good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for coming and attending this morning meeting. Today we have a wonderful doctor online, and Dr. Kasenene is known to all of you, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Kasenene to this call. And may we all unmute and clap our hands and welcome Dr. Kasenene to speak to us. Dr. Kasenene, take the floor.
Welcome.
Welcome, Paulo.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for the amazing welcome. I'm honored and happy to be here. So I'll just introduce myself. Paul Kasenene. I am a medical doctor by training and a wellness enthusiast, and I'm happy to share this morning about a few things we can do to take care of our wellness and why wellness is important in the first place. So maybe, I'm not sure if everybody knows my story and my journey, but I went to medical school in 1999. I wanted to be a pediatric heart surgeon. When I finished medical school, I first got corrupted by, I don't want to say corrupted, but, I got a high paying job in US dollars, in a HIV Research Institute. So I kind of, put my plan to be a pediatric heart surgeon on hold because this desk job, I was sitting a lot. And in a short span of time, I was still a young man. I started to feel not sick, but not great either. I went to see a doctor I worked with, and boom, one day he tells me your cholesterol is high. We're going to consider putting you on cholesterol medication. And, he says something like, if you start these things, sometimes you don't stop. And it hit me that, oh my goodness, so this is what it's like to be a patient. This is what it's like to have a patient in front of you and you tell them you're going to take medication all your life. It wasn't something I wanted to do. So I decided to look for another way. Fortunately, I met a doctor in the US called Joel Furman. Now, many of you out there think I'm radical. People ask me, you want us to eat grass? You don't want us to live, life is short. But this guy was radical. He asked me not to eat cooked food for 7 days. He asked me to literally, eat like I had never eaten before. Anyway, I gave it a shot and my life began to change. Slowly, I remember the first thing that happened was my wife one morning tells me, oh, you no longer rub your nose every morning. This is about 3 months later because I had so many allergies and, irritations. And she's like, it's actually, you're changing. But then 1 year later, I realized even my asthma, which I had all my life, had seemed to disappear. I wasn't using my inhalers. Then it dawned on me, look, this is what people really want. People want to be well. Nobody wants to have a good doctor. Nobody wants to say, I have the best doctor in the world. I believe that. So I believe that anyway. I believe people want to just feel vibrant and healthy. Sadly, that's not the reality today. Sadly, despite all the information we have in the world today about health and wellness, we're actually seeing more and more people struggling with conditions like obesity, like diabetes, high blood pressure. Cancer is on the rise in ways you cannot imagine. We have allergies, we have asthma, we have clots, we have people just dying of mysterious things, young people. And this may not be you directly, but it may be somebody close to you who you actually relate with. It could be your parent. And the funny thing is that as I started my journey on wellness, my mom once told me that when she was doing her nursing about maybe 55 years ago, I don't know, she's 75 now, in Fort Portal in America, diabetes as a disease did not exist. Like, you couldn't see anybody with diabetes. You actually literally had to go to someone's home because there was one guy in Fort Portal who they knew had diabetes. Other than that, it wasn't in the hospital. Now contrast that today where people are proud to say, you know what, in our family, we have diabetes. My sister has diabetes, my mother. There's so much diabetes, there's so much chronic disease. The question is why and where did this come from? So we need to understand that, one of the things that is holding us back, and this is why I'm so passionate about this, is many people believe in a system that is not a healthcare system. We call it a healthcare system, but it's literally a disease care system where you believe in doctors, people like us who go to medical school to study medicine so that we can give you medicine when you are sick. So we don't have a system that teaches people to be healthy. The system that says, go out there, do whatever you want. But if you're sick, go to the doctor. Now, the doctor never treats your problem. He treats the symptom of the problem, at least most of the time, whether it's diabetes or high blood pressure. So you find you're taking blood sugar lowering drugs, taking blood pressure lowering drugs, but that doesn't solve the problem. So the question is, why do we have all these problems? And literally, there are 7 things that really make us unwell. Number 1 is an unhealthy diet. That's the leading cause of all our health issues. We have stress, we have toxins. Now, toxins, people historically talked about cigarettes and alcohol, but we have things like sugar. I like to talk about ketchup, preserves. All these things we add in our food are really toxic. We've got lack of exercise, we have lack of sleep. We have all these kinds of things making us struggle. But most importantly, I want to say that these conditions are preventable, they are reversible. They can affect our children. If you have children and you're on this call and you're listening, they can be affected. I've seen a 12-year-old with type 2 diabetes, which is called adult onset diabetes. And remember, money doesn't make us healthy. So why is this important? Because many times we believe that as we grow old, I have to get sick. Many of us believe these things run in our families. I'm here to tell you that diabetes does not run in your family. There is no disease that runs in your family. I know this may sound contrary to what you've heard before, but there is no disease that runs in your family. What runs in your family are 2 things. 1, the genetic predisposition. So you're predisposed. That doesn't mean you will get diabetes. Your genetics predispose you, your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So your genes load that down, your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So you only get diabetes because your lifestyle pulls that genetic trigger. So that's the first thing we need to know. Secondly, it's important for us to understand that, and I know I'm talking to Christians here, and this was one of the things that really, struck me at some point in my journey, is that many people, when you're talking to Christians, they feel, and I want to apologize, this is offensive, that because we have, the grace of God, or we are believers, somehow we believe we will not be sick because we can say things like, I speak health into my life and I counsel you in the name of Jesus. I know this sounds really, off, but it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as saying that, in the name of Jesus, I'm not going to be sick. God has put laws in this world, and these laws are not respecters of people in the sense that they apply to everyone. God has said that the sun shines on everybody, it doesn't only shine on Christians. Similarly, the law of gravity applies to everybody. If I drop my mouse right now, it's gonna fall. And I don't want to put the law to the test, but it's not as simple as saying I cancel this in the name of Jesus and it's not going to fall. It doesn't work that way. If it did, then nobody in the world will get sick. I mean, we'll literally just declare sickness out of everybody's system. So it's important for us to understand that there are laws, and these laws are exact and they apply to everybody. And one of the laws, is really that what you eat is what you will become. And I really apologize if this is offensive, but I just wanted to also quote for you, 2 verses. I'm sure you all know these verses, but Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, one of my favorites in this area, where it says, do not be deceived. God will not be mocked. A man will reap what he sows. So just think about this. There is no way you can sow maize and reap mangoes. It's just not possible. So the choices you're making today are going to be the most instrumental in how you will feel today and in the future. So I want to share with you 7 things you can do to improve your health, and I'll just share these over the next 10 minutes, and then we can take questions. The first and the foremost is everybody must understand that as a human being who has a body, you are 60 to 70% water at most times in your life. As a child, maybe 80% water. So the most important thing for our bodies is literally not even food, it's water. So everybody should stay hydrated, drink at least 2 liters of water. But the best estimate, I'm sure you've heard me say this before, is get your weight in kilograms and divide that number by 30. That's the amount of water your body requires in liters a day. So if you're 60 kilos, 2 liters, 75 kilos, 2.5 liters. If you don't get enough water, your body will do what Umeme does, load shedding, rationing. So it starts to say, okay, what needs water? My brain, my heart. What doesn't really need water? My stomach, my joints. So you start to struggle in those areas. So it's very, very important that we drink enough water. Okay, drink throughout the day. Start your day with 2 glasses of water to just flush out all the toxins and from the healing and detoxification in the night. If you can, please filter your water. If you live in Kampala and you drink tap water, boiling is not enough, please filter your water. Second thing, eat a healthy diet. Now, eating a healthy diet can be so beneficial. I think there's a lady who once said that food can be your most powerful medicine, but it can also be your worst enemy. Now, I know there is confusion around food, and sometimes I even feel like it's unfortunate because I have 2 mentors in the food area, medical doctors. The first guy I told you, Joel Fuhrman, who says, eat little meat. In fact, if you can, don't eat any meat. This is Joel Fuhrman. And then I have this other mentor called Mark Hyman, who is the head of our Functional Medicine Institute. He's like, you know what, eat meat. In fact, our Paleolithic ancestors, because they like to go that way, they ate a lot of meat. So lots of meat. So I was like, how is it possible that 2 authorities, 2 experts can say totally different things? So I began to realize that you need to put context into food. And I'm going to just tell you 3 things that are important. The first thing is, just because something doesn't make you sick, doesn't mean that it's good for you. And the second thing is that if you want to live a long life, then you need to understand food in a new perspective. And thirdly, remember, we don't eat nutrients, we eat food. So all these discussions around carbohydrates and proteins and fats, please forget that, because when you go for your lunch today, trust me, you're not going to tell the waiter if you eat out that, can I have 50 grams of carbohydrates and 20 grams of protein? You just ask for food. So when we take this discussion into carbs and proteins, we get lost, because it's easy to say, I need protein, so I'm going to eat meat. But meat is not protein. Meat is meat. Now, if your cow is being fed a poisonous chemical to make it grow faster, you're going to get that into your body, whether you're talking about protein. So we need to think about food in a simplistic but more holistic way. Now, the 7 principles. The first principle is 90% of your food should be real food. This is a very simple principle, but eat anything that your grandmother can recognize as food. If your grandmother sees something and doesn't know it's food, don't eat that. I remember when I heard that, I thought about my grandmother. When we presented cornflakes at breakfast, she used to ask my children, what is this? Because she could not imagine that this thing was food. It's just not real food. So what is real food? Real food are mangoes, they are bananas, there's potatoes. But what is unreal food? 5 things to remember. Number 1, sugar. Sugar is not real food. It's the most harmful thing known to mankind. Please, I urge you, don't put sugar in your tea or eat it with the thought that it's just sweet. It's a leading cause of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and memory loss. That's why so many of our parents are losing their memories, and us too. Number 2, avoid refined carbohydrates. So what is refined carbohydrates? Sorry, refined grains. All grain is maize. That's great. Refined grain is posho. Posho is not great food because all the fiber has been removed. People who even meal posho, they sell the fiber to chicken farmers because they know it's healthy. So avoid posho, avoid cornflakes, avoid white rice, and then avoid the refined wheat. This is bread, chapati, mandazi, samosa, pasta, pizza, cake, biscuits, donuts. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that sounds like everything, but this is what is driving our health problems. I'll tell you what we can eat shortly. Let's avoid processed meats or processed foods. One time I was at a conference and the speaker said, who wants to eat an animal that died 6 months ago? Just think about this. This animal died 6 months ago and you want to eat it in the name of protein. We must avoid processed meat, sausage, bacon, ham, salami, frankfurters. Certain oils must be avoided, especially refined oil, sunflower, sunseed, corn oil. Please avoid these oils. The last thing is alcohol. I know maybe most people on this program may not drink a lot of alcohol, but alcohol is something that is not really good for our bodies. We should avoid. Anyway, these are the 5 things we need to avoid, which are not real food. And deep fried foods, of course, fried chips, fried chicken. So what should we eat then? What is real food? Real food is unprocessed and refined. And I'm going to share with you, 7 good types of food. The first is non-starchy vegetables, what people call greens, broccoli, cabbage, sukuma wiki, cauliflower, lettuce, spinach. 50% of our food should come from this food group. When you serve food, this is very important. Many of us in Uganda, we don't eat badly, but the proportion of food on the plate is just totally wrong. You go for lunch and you find somebody has posho, kalo, matoke, cassava, sweet potatoes on one plate. And that's like 70% of the plate. Then there is beans, there's peas, there's meat, there's chicken. I'm saying this is boiled food. And there's very little vegetable. So half of your food should be vegetable. Second thing, eat fruits. But when it comes to fruits, the thing you need to remember is eat them whole. Many people are saying don't eat fruits, they have sugar. That's not correct. You guys, most of you are Christians. If you remember in Genesis, the first instruction to man, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, God said, eat the fruits. He said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruits with seed in it, they will be yours for food. Surely, fruits cannot be bad for your health. The problem is to get fruits and make them into fruit juice. When you get a mango and you peel it, you lose fiber. When you blend it and sieve it, you lose more fiber. When you add sugar, you add more toxins. And when you drink that, that's the perfect food for disease. And people say fruits are bad. No, just wash them, eat them whole. Remember how we ate them as children. Eat a variety of fruits. Every color has a unique benefit. Number 3, eat legumes, beans, peas, groundnuts, lentils, chickpeas. Let that be your major source when you're eating food. Number 4, eat nuts and seeds. Most of us don't eat nuts. We think peanuts or groundnuts are nuts. They are not nuts. They are legumes. Nuts are almonds and cashews and pistachios and all these tree nuts, okay? Seeds are so fantastic for health because seeds bring forth life. Men on this call, pumpkin seeds, eat them. Very good for your prostate. Watermelon seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. Let's eat. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates, ladies and gentlemen. There's no worry about carbohydrates. The first enzyme in your mouth that interacts with food is called salivary amylase. The first thing food interacts with is a carbohydrate digesting enzyme. There is no way carbs can be bad for your health if amylase is in your mouth. God made amylase to digest carbohydrates. Eat them, but eat our natural carbohydrate-rich foods. Sweet potatoes, yams, matoke, kalo. You won't believe it right now in the Western world. People are raving about millet, superfood, very healthy, high protein, high everything, green bananas. So eat these, but only a quarter of your plate. When it comes to grains, eat whole grains, eat maize, not posho, eat brown rice, not white rice, okay? Eat your millet and your sorghum. So these are the foods we should eat. Second principle is about animal foods. Only 10% of your diet should come from animal foods. 90% should come from plant foods. Now, 3 things. First of all, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. First instruction to man, there was no animal food. Only after the flood, Genesis chapter 9, verse 3, God says, now you can eat meat. The bottom line, what's my point? My point is, for a long time, man never ate meat. So you can survive without meat, and meat and plants are sufficient for your health. Otherwise, why would God say eat only plants? Anyway, so only 10% of our diet should be animal foods. 90% should be plants. Here's the scientific reason why. Animals that eat animals, they have a lot of acid in their digestive system and they have short digestive systems. What does this mean? That means that they can digest animal foods better. And before animal foods putrefy, because animal foods ferment and putrefy after 10 to 12 hours, it's out. Human beings, by the time putrefaction of animal foods happens, it's going to be in your colon. So we have a lot of colon cancer because of so much animal foods. So our digestive system is just not designed for animal foods. Should we stop animal foods? No. Eat them in moderation. Now, the third thing I want you to understand about animal foods is animal foods are zero in carbohydrates. So if you want carbohydrates, it's the perfect food for you to help you lose weight. It will seem like the greatest food for you on your weight loss journey. That's why so many guys are talking about keto diet, carnivore diet. So it actually does those things, helps you lose weight, helps you become muscular. Here's the problem. Animal foods are high protein, and high protein stimulates growth. Not only growth of normal cells, even growth of cancer cells and normal cells. So animal foods will increase your risk for cancer, and it has been shown scientifically that they'll make you age faster. So all these stories of, there's this group that eats animal foods, the Maasai, the what, these hunter-gatherers, none of them has a history of longevity. They were all healthy, but they lived a very short lifestyle. Short being 70s, 75, that's it. All the blue zones, the areas where guys live long in the world, eat animal foods once a week. That's why our parents were so healthy. At most, they ate animal foods once a week on Sunday. Sunday is a feast day. That's when you should have your animal food. And remember, it should not be sausages. It should be real meat. Let it be fresh meat. Let it be fresh goat meat. Let it be a local chicken. I would rather somebody eats red meat goat than eat, a chicken that has been fed growth hormones and antibiotics. So animal foods only on the weekend, 300 grams, ladies and gentlemen, is all you need. An egg is 50 grams, a drumstick is 100 grams. So 2 drumsticks, 2 eggs, that's it for the week. Anything more, increase your aging, increase your risk for disease. So that's very important that you understand. Now, there's so many principles, and I know I'm running out of time, but the third principle I like to share is that 50% of your food, and I talked about this already, should be fruits or vegetables. So whenever you have food on your plate, half of it fruits or vegetables. Breakfast, half fruit, lunch and dinner, half vegetables. The other principles are very simple principles. Eat from all food groups. Eat 50% of your food uncooked if you can. So how do you do that? Very simple. Breakfast, eat 50% fruit. Lunch, if possible, eat a salad, lettuce, cabbage, avocado, and then have smoothies. Smoothies are a great way to have more raw food in your diet. The rest of the time you can have cooked food. Then the last principle, which I'll just share about, the rest either you can get in my book, Eat Your Way to Wellness. I have a revised edition coming out in a few weeks. If you haven't gotten a copy, please wait for that. The last thing is everybody should spend 12 hours in a day without eating, a minimum of 12 hours, but preferably 16 hours. We call that intermittent fasting. How does this work? First of all, your last meal, technically, our last meal should be before the sun sets, but I know that's difficult. So your last meal should not be below 8 p.m., beyond 8 p.m. So last meal, 8 p.m., do not eat any other food except water until 8 a.m. That's 12 hours, but ideally until midday. The best eating window, in my opinion, is 6 p.m., last meal, first meal, 10 a.m. You get a 16-hour fast, your body will detoxify, it will cleanse, it will reduce your risk for chronic disease, diabetes, and it will heal the body. When you're fasting, your body goes and looks for diseased cells and eats them up. Intermittent fasting is not a new thing. It's been in Africa for centuries. My mother's aunt told me when they were growing up, they had their dinner at 6 o'clock or 6:30 because they didn't want to eat before it got dark. They had no electricity. They woke up in the morning, they never had breakfast. They went into the field to work and they broke their fast around 11 o'clock. Breakfast doesn't mean eat in the morning. Breakfast means break the fast. You can break your fast at any time. So my recommendation, breakfast around 10 o'clock, dinner around 6, if not 8 to midday. But that's the eating window. You don't need to have 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day, actually. Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much to share about food, but I hope this gives you some perspective about eating. Now, I'm going to quickly take you through a few more points about being healthy, and then I'll take questions, and I apologize. First thing, make sure you exercise. Move your body. It's extremely important. I won't go into much detail because of time, but exercise that is considered sufficient is a minimum of 3 hours a week, broken down into at least 3 sessions. So at least one hour 3 times a week or 30 minutes every day. Less than that, you're not meeting your physical activity requirements. Secondly, don't be an exercise couch potato. Somebody who goes to the gym for 1 hour a day and sits the rest of the day. That has been shown to be actually probably worse for you than somebody who just walks around most of the day and doesn't really do exercise. So make sure you move a lot. Remember, people who have no time for exercise, by natural law, will have to find time for sickness. Number 3, get enough sleep. 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I love Psalm 127 verse 2. I like to selectively quote the Good News version because it actually says it the way I like to share to encourage sleep. Says something like, there's no need for a man to wake up very early in the morning or to stay awake very late at night struggling to earn a living, for the Lord provides for those that he loves even as they sleep. That's the Good News version. Please get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Go to bed early. The best time to sleep is 2 hours after sunset. And then wake up 2 hours before sunrise. That's the best way to do it. Last few points, please allow your body to go through a little bit of stress. A little bit of stress is great for ensuring that you live longer. Fasting, taking cold showers, drinking bitter drinks, these are very, very important hacks that I can give you. My favorite principle about being healthy, it comes from the Japanese, who say that their secret to being healthy is not eating healthy food, but is having peace of mind. And I found that in this busy world of ours, it's very easy to be stressed out. And I think instead of you looking for peace of mind, practice gratitude. When you say thank you, and there's lots of things to be grateful for, your body immediately will calm down. It will produce feel-good hormones, serotonin, antibiotics, stress relievers, blood pressure controlling agents, blood sugar controlling agents. I believe gratitude is our secret weapon to health. First Thessalonians, I think, chapter 5, I think 16 to 18. I'm not sure if I'm putting it right. It says, be joyful always and pray continually. In every situation, give thanks. This is really the essence of how we can stay healthy in this busy world. Lastly, if any of you out there is struggling with any chronic disease or your family is, I want you to remember that all disease is reversible. And it's reversible scientifically, but we also know that the best way to get better is to believe that you will be better. So I just want to encourage anyone who's on this call, it doesn't matter where you are in terms of your health journey. If you start doing the right things, if you believe, you will get better. So I know we don't have too much time, and I know that I probably have taken more than I should have. But health is an exciting thing because we live in an exciting time. Lots of technology, lots of ability to be alive. Please don't wait to get disease and then say, now I'm going to be healthy. You know, there's a saying that people sacrifice their health for wealth, but then have to sell all their wealth to try and get back their health. Let that not be your journey. The Bible says that, you know, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And that last part of the verse says, honor God with your body. Please honor God with your body. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I wish you a healthy day. Remember, start small. You don't have to change everything overnight, but make sure you make the commitment to live a healthy life and honor God with that body. Thank you very much.
Wow. What a shock. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul Kasenene. Question, please shoot your hand up and ask the doctor. We won't take everyone's question, but let me check for questions. Shoot your hand up, please, and let me know that you're able to, you want to ask a doctor a question. Doctor, some people say that a little bit of alcohol is okay, that it helps digestion. Is that also true? That would be my question.
So let me just answer that. To an extent, yes, but we need to remember a few things. Not all alcohol helps digestion. So the alcohol that actually helps digestion is only red wine, because red wine is what we call a mitochondrial uncoupler. It has resveratrol, which is a compound that has been shown to help the bacteria in your gut, but also make your heart healthy. Alcohol, on the other hand, you need to realize for many of us, it has a stimulant effect. So if you're not, you don't have a temperate lifestyle and you're not calm, sometimes you start to lead you into problems. There is a safe amount of alcohol, and that is 2 drinks per day and 6 drinks a week. So never have more than 2 drinks per day, no more than 6 a week, and that should ideally be red wine. But you cannot, no one should think that I need wine to be healthy. You can actually be healthy without red wine. Thanks.
Solomon, please ask your question.
Thank you, Director. Thank you so much, Paul. I know your program works. I've tried it. It worked like magic. Then I backslid, but that's a story for another day. 2 questions. One, generally speaking, it is a general feeling that bitter things are the ones that are healthy. Now, is the sweet tooth a thing? Is it overrated? What do us sweet teeth, how do we survive and become healthy? That's one. 2, is there anything like too much fruit? Because us sweet teeth tend to sweet fruit. I don't know if there's something like too much is bad. Then, sorry, I have to throw in this one. Say something about the keto diet for the meat lovers. Thanks.
Should I wait for all the questions or should
Doctor,
I
you're muted.
go one by one? Should I
think
go one by one?
One by one. Yeah.
Okay, so we need to understand a couple of things. The body is genetically or naturally inclined to want three things: sugar, salt, and fat, because that's where we get nutrients. Sweet things bring carbohydrates, and that's a natural inclination. However, the food industry has hijacked this inclination and made things that are so sweet, so addictive, that now we're no longer following a natural inclination. We are actually being sort of like drugged into a system that makes us believe we are sweet teeth, yet actually we are being programmed to want to eat sweet things. This is because they're taking advantage of our inherent biological mechanism. So now what we need to understand is sweet is not bad, but if you don't have a mindset of self-control, we are going to actually end up thinking that this is just who we are. Unfortunately, there is no easy answer for this because sweet things taste nice. Unfortunately, but at the same time, they also cause us problems. So what we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to start saying no to our body occasionally. And many times the best way I like to tell people to get started is by fasting. If you can fast for 72 hours without food, or even 48 hours, you can say no to sugar. If you've never fasted, you're not in control of your body. Now, sweet tooth doesn't mean bad thing, but remember that sometimes we cannot just say I'm a sweet tooth, because ultimately we will end up into problems because we are eating the unhealthy things. Can too much fruit be bad for you? So this is my answer. Fruit provides us with necessary, and I think fruit is the perfect food because it has water, it has energy, and it has nutrients, lots of vitamins and antioxidants. But many years ago, the African body lived in a climate where there was no winter. This is very important for us to understand. Where there is no winter, you are constantly in an environment where you're able to be active. So we were given a lot of fruit because our environment enabled us to be active all year round. Places where there is winter, they go into hibernation because winter is cold and they're not very active. So they actually find that the fruit, the energy they get from the fruit is used during the winter. For us, that doesn't happen. So if you want to eat fruit, be active, get up and move. Now, if you're not active, if you sit a lot, then fruit can be a problem for you because you're not utilizing the sugar. So I would say that a simple solution is eat fruit, but be active. If you're not active, if you have diabetes, if you're overweight, eat less fruit until you're much more active. The other secret is eat fruit that would be in season. So if you know this is guava season, eat guavas. Mango season, eat mango. That's a bit hard these days, but that's really the philosophy that your body will really adapt to. Keto diet. Look, keto diet, excuse me, is based on the premise that we want less carbohydrates in our system because carbohydrates give us energy, and the energy we don't use is converted into fat. Now, if you're not getting in carbohydrates, naturally your body has to use fat because that's the backup mechanism. So we try and trick the body into using fat by not giving it any carbohydrates. So we give it fat, which will then lead our body to break down more fat because there is no carbohydrate. And the energy source that the body uses are called ketones. Ketones are what the body actually uses to break down fat. Now, this actually can work, but this is not natural. So the keto diet can work, but it's not a natural thing to have to be eating a lot of fat, getting butter and, I don't know, all the things that talk about milk and animal fat and all these things. It's just not natural. So eventually you find you can't sustain this and your body actually starts to struggle. So what we need to do is to learn to eat holistically. Now, if you want to get ketosis, the best way to do this is to simply reduce your grains and starches in your diet. Reduce the matoke, sweet potato, cassava, yams, bread, chapati, mandazi. Eat more vegetables, eat more legumes, and then start fasting. Because when you're fasting, once you've gone 12 hours without food, your body is going to go into ketosis. It's going to start burning fat. So I'm not against a keto diet. If it works for somebody in the short run, go for it. But remember, it is so hard to sustain. And now research is saying that people who have done this for so long, their body starts to change and can no longer handle carbohydrates. So the minute you eat carbohydrates, your body goes crazy and it starts storing up fat like a problem. So you find that it's working for you, but then you're stuck on this diet because now your body no longer knows how to use carbohydrates. So my suggestion is, if you want to use it for the short term, please do, but wean yourself off it. The best thing to do is just eat healthy, exercise, and fast 16 hours a day.
Okay. Any other question? I'll take two more questions. I have one. Doctor, please comment about people's favorite product, pork. You cannot leave this call without commenting on pork. And there are people who say that an egg is good, that it is wholesome, and the more eggs we eat, the better. Is that good or bad? Please comment about that. We'll have Elder Kamara, please move forward. You'll give a vote of thanks after these two questions. There's a question on the. Let me ask someone to. Let me see who is. Just a moment. Asantozi and Bachiga Nation will ask the two last questions. Asa shoot and Bachiga Nation shoot. Then Doctor, you'll wrap up, and then Elder Kamara move forward. You'll move a vote of thanks to Dr. Kasenene. Asa, please.
Thank you, Paolo, for being here on BLN. It's good to see you again. Happy New Year. Yeah, I was asking about what are the best foods for mental health for us to keep a good mental health.
Okay. Bachiga Nation, please.
Morning. Thank you, Doctor.
Morning.
I just have a small clarification. Yeah. You've spoken heavily about healthy eating. Now, what's actually the key? Is it variety, balance, moderation, or basically everything? Yeah, just for clarity. Thank you.
Okay.
Doctor, please take those. Then Elder Kamara, please move nearer.
So the first question is about pork. Pork is, is the East African favorite food. And when you talk about it, guys go crazy. There is no animal food that I would say is so terrible for your health. However, pigs by nature, and I'm sorry to say this, they are scavengers. Now, scavengers, someone once told me that their role is to clean up the earth. They eat literally anything and everything in their way. So when you analyze the toxic content of animals, because we all have a liver with toxicity, with toxins in them, because that's its role, you find that pigs have a very high toxic value. Now, if you eat a lot of pork, you're going to be in trouble. However, and very paradoxically, the longest lived population in the world, the Okinawans in Japan, the animal food that they eat, which is once in maybe 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks to once a month, is actually pork. So my thing is that whatever animal food you eat, keep it within your 10% portion. Ensure it's real food, meaning it's not being fed artificial foods. And then you won't be in a problem, whether it's pork or beef or goat or chicken. Although chicken and fish tend to be healthier, I say pork is fine. The problem we have is our culture of going and eating a lasagna of pork or having like 10 sticks, it's just that we eat too much of it. So I would say don't stop your pork if you love it. Eat it once a week and eat a little bit of it. But I would say for me, pork is the one food that tends to be the unhealthier because of the nature of how pigs are. But whatever God has blessed and put in the world, eat it in balance. Eggs. Are eggs good for our health? The answer is yes. Many times in the past, and maybe you'll have to invite me back to talk about cholesterol. In the past, we used to believe that foods that are high in cholesterol are bad for our health or are bad for our cholesterol, like eggs. Now we know that the cholesterol in food has no impact on the cholesterol in your body. And a doctor who hypothesized this did an experiment. He ate 59 eggs a day, I think for a month. And at the end of the period, his blood cholesterol was much better than when he started. Eggs, because are going to bring forth life, are rich in nutrients, especially in the yolk. And so the egg is a very healthy food. And we should not be afraid of the egg yolk because of cholesterol. It has no bearing on your cholesterol. However, remember, eggs are animal food, so we should only get 10% of our diet. And that means 2 eggs a week is 100 grams. If you want to eat only eggs, 6 eggs a week and no other animal foods, just keep in mind this 300 grams framework for your animal food consumption and then play around there. But no one should be worried that eggs are going to be bad for their health in any way, unless you're eating these modern eggs, which are full of chemicals and stuff like that. If it's your local egg, go for it. It will not affect your cholesterol levels. It won't increase your risk for heart disease. And egg yolk is really one of the foods that has been shown to be good for brain health, just getting into Arthur's question. So eat your eggs, but keep them into the animal limit moderation. What are the foods for mental health? Now, it's important for us to understand two things about mental health. The first is the brain is the organ that we need for our thinking and emotions. And the brain is a very, very fatty organ. It's actually 70% fat. So things that are high in healthy fat tend to be very good for your brain and therefore for your mental health. So avocados, which are very fatty with monounsaturated fat, are good for your almonds. Walnuts, if you know a walnut, it looks like a brain. It's very good, although not. These tend to be the plant places where we get a lot of healthy fat. Then in the animal foods, the egg yolk and fatty fish are great for your brain health. Now, other things that are good for your brain health are magnesium and the B vitamins. So magnesium-rich foods are also good for your brain health. Sorry, I hope you can still hear me getting an unstable message here. So things like green tea is good for your brain health. Cocoa is good for your brain health. Avocado, as I already mentioned that. Pumpkin, spinach, these tend to be foods that are. Sorry, I apologize. I just went off. I don't know what happened.
It's okay, just continue.
But yeah, so foods which are high in magnesium, omega-3s, and B vitamins are good for your brain health. Lastly, and one more thing, maybe I can just, I hope you can still all hear me, is that yes, sometimes you need to take nutritional supplements for your mental health. Sorry, I don't know why my system is breaking, but I apologize. Yeah, I apologize. Just it went off. So when I was saying, I encourage everybody to take certain nutrients for your brain health, omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, and B vitamins. Sometimes if your mood is low or you're struggling with mental health, it may be nice to take nutrients that are good for your brain. Omega-3s, B vitamins, magnesium, and vitamin D. They really help to optimize brain function. Lastly, is it variety balance for all of the three? First, it's eat natural food. So you're eating food that is natural without refining, without additives, without chemicals. Secondly, let there be variety so that the variety brings all the nutrients that you need. This concept of balance is important, but you should never expose yourself to something that can harm you in the name of balance. Whenever a patient asks me, is 1 spoon of sugar better than 3? The answer is yes. But I remember I was at a talk and someone asked once that, doctor, if I reduce, they're not asking me, I think they were asking someone else, if I reduce my consumption, giving my children sausages from 2 a day, which is 12 in a week, at the time they said, to 3 a week, is that better? And the speaker responded, how many cigarettes are you going to give your child? 12 or 3? You see, when they asked that question, it realized that you don't even want to give your child 3 cigarettes. So sometimes it's not about balance, it's about doing what is best for your body. Balance is only useful when you're talking about a balance amongst healthy foods. But many times we like to say everything is okay in moderation. And many people ask us because they can I eat my junk food and then exercise? The answer is you can never exercise your way out of a bad diet. Once in a while, anything you want is permissible, but never do it because you're trying to find balance. Do it because you enjoy it, but understand the risk that it brings, and where possible, minimize them. So balance should only be in the context of what is healthy. And the principle, remember, is 90% of the time eat healthy, so 10% of the time there's always room for ice cream. So never feel like, to be healthy, you just have to struggle and suffer, not necessarily, but don't eat unhealthy food in the name of balance. Thank you.
Dr. Kasenene, things. Hey, Ms. Vanna. Elder Kamara, please come forward.
Thank you very much, Director Grace. Dr. Paul, thank you. This has been really enlightening. We know the truth. It's just that sometimes you run away from it. I think this has been the most attended BLN call this year, if I may say. We've picked at 176 people. And this is entirely critical. So thank you, Dr. Paul. We all know that in business, the moment you lose life, you're out of the game. So for business leaders, it is important for us to maintain what is most critical. And thank you very much. We will definitely try. As you can see, I also put on my Zuckerberg t-shirt so that I can match you. I'm learning to mind my health. Thank you very much. This has been very, very helpful. We hope to receive you again so that we can ask all the questions. And people, you have heard for yourselves, go and sow the seed, but you can also eat the seed. It is healthy. Thank you very much. And over to you, Director Grace.
Dr. Kasenene, I can't thank you enough. You've blessed us, and may God bless you and richly reward you. And for those who have lost the war to pork, I join you in mourning, and we will be good. Mwesugwa said that I've lost to Dr. Kasenene 1-0. 1 in favor of Dr. Kasenene and 0 in favor of me. It is okay still. Thank you so much. Guys, go and work, go make money. We'll be back on Thursday. Bye-bye. God bless you. Have fun while you make money, and don't be a martyr. Bye-bye.